Hey guys, it's Jonah here, back with a beer review, and I've kind of skipped a step in my beer 52 brews, and I'm on to the Pennsylvania ones, mainly because this beer is in a bottle, um, and I've got limited fridge space because we've got food and all that kind of stuff. I know, food. What's that all about? And cans are much easier to put into the fridge than bottles are, so I thought I would do this one, which is called Haze Charmer, dry hopped hazy pale ale, not an IPA. And this is from Troegs, independent brewing. And this is cool. I love this bottle, really cool. There's a hop, which is kind of part of, I guess, the sun and the moon and all that kind of stuff in there. And it's gone out of focus for some unknown reason. It is 5%. It says 12 fluid ounces, which is weird. And oops, gone out of focus again. Well, we'll get him back in focus. And this is strange because I did some conversions, and in the UK, our cans, unless you're really lucky and get pint cans, are 330 or 440 cans. And I was led to believe in America it's 355, and this is milliliters. But 12 fluid ounces is 340, not 355, which is just really weird. So the cans are 12.5 ounce. It gets really confusing. Anyway, when we look up the Haze Charmer, it says Haze Charmer emerges from soft swirling cloud of oats, so it's got oats in, and wheat. Hey, wonder what's going on there. Vigorous dry hopping as a second phase of haze, propping up oils of Eldorado and Citra. So we're looking out for pineapple, grapefruit, candied peach, and white pine. Pine? Maybe that's the Citra then. But yeah, interesting that this bad boy has definitely got all the things, all the things a NEPA would have, but they called it a hazy pale ale, which I think is really cool. And at 5%, yeah, it's not amazingly strong. No, look at that. There's a little thing on there on the cap that says Troegs or Troegs. If you're a Scotsman, like perhaps I should be, maybe, I don't know. It's that or a Safa. But let's not go into that such matters. It also says drink from a tumbler. So, of course, I'm totally ignoring what they're talking about. And I'm going to use a tulip. Not a tulip. What is it, a tulip? I don't know what you'd call this. I kind of call it a tulip. There's a tasting glass here. Now we can look at the side of that bottle. But, as I usually do, it is kind of partially hazy, which is cool. Head, not much to speak of. A fingernail, a fast disappearing head, which is a real shame considering it's got some oats in it and some wheat. And it was interesting as well because I hadn't quite thought about this before, but perhaps I should. But often I don't think, I just speak. That is one of my major downfalls, unfortunately. But what they were saying was this beer has oats and wheat, so it's a little bit cloudy, and then it also gets dry hopped to fuck. That's a technical term, which also adds a bit of haze. So, as we probably know, or if you don't think about it, haze does come partially from the dry hopping as well. So it's kind of a double haze, if that makes sense. Weird, eh? Let's go in for a bit of a sniff test, and then we'll see what the bottle says. I'm getting a weird rye kind of aroma. But I am getting fruit too. Pineapple is quite a good shout, I'd say. But to be honest, it's not giving too much away. Right, let me put this down. So, because the bottle is, which way is it? Twisted. There we go. Twisted bottle starter. There we go. So we got water, barley, malted oats. Interesting. Malted yeast, malted wheat even. Hops yeast, Citra Eldorado and Mosaic. 12 fluid ounces. 5%. And then we turn it that way and it says up here, whoop, if I do one of these, hopefully it will refocus. Oh, I can see it and it's not focusing. Let me do one of these. Come on, dude. Focus. Hocus pocus focus. It's not going to focus, dude. What am I doing wrong? Somebody please tell me, because this is getting really annoying. Anyway, it says serve in a tumbler. Come on, dude. I really wanna get this to focus in. Here we go. Oh, you bugger. Serve in a tumbler. There we go. Up here somewhere. There you go. Serve in a tumbler. Anyway, Haze Charmer emerges from a soft, swirling cloud of oats and unmalted wheat. So the wheat is not malted. Vigorous dry hopping. Blah 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 blah. Very much the same as on tasting notes in a hop book. Interesting that. They've lifted it basically off the bottle. Cheers and beers, guys. And cheers to you, Chris Troeg or Troeg. Tugan, I think his name really is. Interesting fact about, before I start drinking, about this brewery and the guy, Chris, who part owns it, is that he came over to Sunderland in the UK to go to do a university brewing course. So he didn't do it in the US, he did it in the UK and then went back over to the US, obviously. Based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, sorry. I think there is a Philadelphia connection there, but I don't think they're there now, the brewery. Oh, it probably says on here, Hershey. Hershey, is that where their chocolate bars come from? My American friends, you might tell me more. Anyway, yeah, and their brewery has been around for 25 years. So, yeah, not too bad. Back in the 90s. I'll drink to that because that's when I started drinking. Ooh. So, interesting. There is a balance to be had between, there is quite a lot of residual sweetness there, but there's also quite a bit of hop punchiness. I'm not saying it's bitter, because it isn't, but the hops are fighting the kind of sweetness. So it's almost like malts versus hops. It's kind of in battle. And that's unusual from a beer that's only 5% on the ABV. Usually it's with stronger beers and you get alcohol in the mix as well. And there's a three-way trifecta or Mexican standoff, if you know what I mean. Oh. And saying there wasn't a head, I'm getting some tide lines or tide marks on the glass. So what little head is left is proving to the naysayers what I usually say about oats and wheat. They do something to beer which I think only adds. So if you're thinking purity laws from Germany, Reinheitsgebot, that is not what's going on here. And, you know, additions to beer to make things much better, especially on style. So it's a hazy pale ale. Let's not go near any IPA monikers. Let's please not call this a session IPA. And thank God they haven't. This is what people think a session IPA is. No, it's a pale ale. Fantastic. I'll drink to that, Troegs. I think they've got quite a bit of history as well. Okay, so we are getting that pineapple. I know what they're kind of saying about the pine, but it's not as pronounced. So there is a bit of pine in the background. And with the lotus, I'm always getting that white winey type thing going on as well. But that is really, really far out in the in the depths of the finish. It's not up front in the mouthfeel at all. You're definitely getting that sweet pineapple. Yeah, remember if they had those sort of pineapple chunks and they sort of dried them out, but then dipped them into icing sugar, I think it was. So they looked a little bit like what are those things? Turkish delight. It looked a little bit like Turkish delight, but it was pineapple chunks. Pineapple. Jesus, this is my first beer today. I say that a lot, but I don't know. Maybe all the beer over these years has finally got to me and driving me completely mad, or perhaps I was anyway. Pineapple chunks, I think they were called. Pineapple dipped in kind of sugary stuff. Very much like that, but it's not as sweet and it's not as kind of juicy and not as forward. There are other things going on there. The mouthfeel is quite good, but there is not that smoothness that you get with other oats and wheat combinations. So I think there's probably not too much oats or wheat in this brew, but there's enough for it to. No, 3 sips, 3 tired lines. There's enough to do that, and that makes me happy. And that is what causes lacing. In Unclejona's opinion, according to the Surgeon General, women should not drink. Jesus Christ, man, that's a bold statement from the Surgeon General. I think that's a really nice beer. Nothing too ridiculous, nothing too amazingly out there. Yeah, really nice. Hazy pale, let's call it that. This has been my first beer in the Pennsylvania series, and I think that was a really nice one. And I appreciate a brewery that is slightly older because they've gone through all the kind of the sort of wearing in that happens that some craft breweries don't do. Um, some of the postmodern craft breweries, and this could be anywhere in the world. I'm not singling anyone out. Um, it's a bit like the punk scene, punk rock. When that first came out in the 70s, it was raw, and people were recording stuff in garages and rubbish studios and that kind of thing. And it had a kind of rawness. But over time, things like that kind of smooth out a little bit. Same as breweries like this. Although they're doing reasonably modern beers, they're doing it from a position of we know what works and we know what doesn't work, and they're not doing a real rough in your face kind of beer. They're doing a nice smooth one, but with modern sensibilities, which is always nice. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed listening to me and my dulcet tones and watching me drink beers, which is what things are all about. Click like, click subscribe if you want to. Add some comments. I really like it when people leave their comments and we can have an argument, or we can have a nice chat in the comments down below. And while you're there, don't forget to hit the bell icon because that means you'll never miss any future videos with all sorts of beer. This has been Unclejona. Until the next time, please drink some beer because it makes you smarter and it does good for the whole world. Cheers and beers, guys. We'll see you real soon.